Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at a new service that JLCPCB are offering, and that is the SMT assembly service. So in addition to getting your PCBs made at JLCPCB, they're now offering an assembly service for surface mount components onto the PCBs that you just had made. So one of the amazing things about this service is the very low price. So you pay an initial $7 engineering fee, and that's for them to process all of your data, and then you pay a $0.0015 assembly fee per joint on the board. And then within this service you can choose 689 basic components, so that covers your standard passive parts, so resistors, capacitors, there's some inductors on there in fairly common sizes, so those will be 08, 05, 06, 03 in the most common values. And then there is a selection of over 30,000 extended components from LCSC, and these are listed in the JLC SMT parts library. So there's a whole array of different components that you can choose from here. So for example, you could probably search for some NPN transistors, and then you've got all of the different types of transistors that you can choose, and you can see here these are some of the basic parts, so these are all freely placeable. And then up here, if you wanted this particular transistor, this would be classed as an extended part. So the extended parts have a limitation in that you can only place 10 different types on the PCB, and that is because they've got a big array of pick and place machines preloaded with the 689 basic components. And then for your particular board, if you've got any extended components, they then have to physically load those parts into one of the pick and place machines. So there is a charge associated with each of the extended components, and that is $3, and there's a maximum of 10 different types that you can have on your PCB. The other limitation is at the moment they can only assemble parts onto one side of the board, so you want to design your board with as many of the surface mount parts as possible on one side, and then when you receive the boards you can assemble all of the through-hole parts and the surface mount parts that might be on the other side of the board. The other incredible thing about this service is the 24-hour turnaround, which is completely unheard of, and that's partly to do with the fact that they've got the big array of pick and place machines ready to go with the basic components, and then when you come in with your order, they only have to add in the parts that are specific to your order. So I have just ordered a PCB for SMT assembly, so it's going to be quite exciting to see how this turns out. What it is an extension to my home lighting project, and that's a humidity and temperature sensor module which is going to go in some of the rooms. So here's the schematic, and we'll go over it in a video next week. And then we've got the PCB layout which I've just finished, and you can see here in cyan is the top side of the board, and that's just got two large 7-segment displays. And then on the rear side of the board, here you can see we've got all of the surface mount components. So all of this is going to be assembled by JLC PCB other than the inductor. I did make a mistake, so the LEDs aren't going to get placed, and then the through-hole parts such as this terminal block and the tactile switches are not going to get placed. So it should be quite exciting to see how this turns out. The order was placed on Friday night, so we'll see how long it takes. I did order the immersion gold finish on the board, so it's going to take a little bit longer just to physically produce the PCB, but the assembly service should be 24 hours, and shipping with DHL is normally in the region of 3 to 4 days. So I'm hoping that either at the end of next week or maybe the start of the week after, I'll have a board that we can show you, and then assemble the rest of the components and test. So now we'll just run through the steps to order your board. So you do need to be signed in at this point, and then you can click on calculate. Then what you want to do is upload your Gerber file as normal, and then you'll get a preview of what your PCB looks like. You can then choose your quantity, so let's say we're going to order 10 of them. Bear in mind that you can't choose any colour other than green, and the PCB thickness is also limited. And then you can click here, so there's a new section here that says SMT assembly. Click the little tab, and then it will ask you which side of the PCB that you want to assemble. So in this case we're going to assemble the bottom side. Click confirm, and then it will go on to the next window where you can upload your bill of materials and your pick and place file. Once you've uploaded those, you can click next. When you get to the next screen, you'll see a preview of what your PCB is going to look like, and you can see from my pick and place file it's actually incorrectly placed the IC, so the rotation is incorrect. presumably because these parts come on a tape or in a tray in a different orientation to what it said in the library from my PCB software. So what you can do is just go back to your pick and place file and just modify the rotation, and then you'll be able to proceed your order. But you can see here we've got all of the parts that were going to be placed, and it's automatically adjusted the quantities for the 10 PCBs that I said I was going to have made, and then you get the total price on the right hand side. And you can see here for this particular PCB, to get 10 of them made is $92 or $9.28 for each PCB, which is an absolute bargain considering that the components themselves account for more than half of that price. So this is a really exciting opportunity for any PCBs that you want making, especially if you're thinking about selling those boards. Having them pre-assembled really cuts down on the effort to getting your PCBs to market. So I highly recommend that you take a look at the website, see if you can come up with a board, and then try out the service. So I hope you found this video useful, and until next time, thanks for watching.